So the actual electrodes on the brain will then, you'll just pulse them to a different frequency, is that it?
I can do that, or if they're telling me they're not feeling real good about things, I might even change it and put it in another place. So,
Cool.
yeah, first we do definitely change the frequency of it.
Got it.
That's the easiest thing without making a whole process out
Yeah,
of it.
okay. Can you give us some examples of problems people have had and how they were helped? Name 3 of your favorite cases.
Probably one of my most favorite, because I'm a speech pathologist, is a little 4-year-old boy who came to me and was barely talking at all. And somewhere around 3 or 4 hours of training later, his mom came in one day and said, oh, he's saying about 2 to 5 words this last week. And I said, oh, super, that's great. And from that point on, he kept adding 2 to 5 new words every time he came to the session. So that was super. That was to me the best thing. And he's come back. He's doing really well, doing very, very well.
That's heartwarming.
Yeah, really, it really is. One of my other ones was one of my very first clients, a boy who is extraordinarily bright, had both visual processing, auditory processing. His mom and dad took him to psychologists, did things like hair analysis, auditory training, visual, vision therapy. They did everything. And he was such an angry child. He was always
because he couldn't get out and express himself. He couldn't get out.
And after sessions, I mean, he just became this charming young man.
Isn't that great?
Yeah,
They never gave up.
No,
his parents never gave up.
They never gave up. The last I heard, he had gotten into the Chicago Academy for Performing Arts, I think. And he had been a boy in a behavior disordered school. He wasn't even in his regular school. He was in
wonderful.
a special ed school.
You're changing lives.
Well,
you're giving people back their life. Yeah.
That's what keeps me really involved with this. I really find it. And I don't know. I can't. I mean, I just had a lot.
Many. Yeah. What other kinds of problems are helped with neurofeedback?
Well, things like chronic fatigue. That's really.
Why would that help chronic fatigue?
Because we are boosting the. Well, let me explain. The brain waves are being boosted, and so they're producing more neurotransmitters, which are producing more, getting that rocket
message
back.
Out.
Yeah, getting the message out, getting back on track again, and it basically
So do people get smarter with this?
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
if you're producing more neurotransmitters, I mean, I would think that you'd study better and focus better and perform better and remember better.
Absolutely.
Helps memory?
Oh, absolutely.
Even on really old people?
I think so. I
really?
think so. Yes.
Well, why on earth aren't people just engaging in this more and more and more?
It's just not out there enough, I guess, and doctors don't recommend it. Doctors don't recommend it, and there are not a lot of people training to do it, so it's not out there as much as it really should be, I think.
You've been doing this for quite some time, though, right?
8 years. 8 years.
So you're pretty practiced and seasoned.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I feel pretty confident with when I start to work with someone that I know what they need, and
well, you're very caring and empathic too.
Well,
makes a difference in the therapist and the healing process with the patient. So, if you reach out to people and they know you care, it's like you'll do it right and you'll get it done till it's done right. So
right, and that's exactly that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
If I'm not quite in the right place, I'll just keep working until I get it where it needs to be. So people hang in with it too. They do see differences, and they know that things are better in their lives.
Well, this is like all around. I think it sounds as though it's something that would benefit everybody.
Well, there is a peak performance protocol also, that people who are really functioning well but are maybe high profile type jobs and need to really function in a very concentrated, alert manner can take, this
high performance. Really? So it takes the brain waves up even higher?
Yeah,
or?
It just kind of sharpens it up a little bit.
Well, that's cool. Who wouldn't want that?
I know.
I want that. Gee, I'll just probably wear myself out even more. Okay, does it help other symptoms of head injury other than even seizures? Like if someone's had a horrible car accident or with brain damage?
It really does. Brain damage is hard to work with. What happens is that, I guess it's that trajectory again, that once it's gotten off its path, it just keeps on, symptoms keep cropping up all the time with brain injury. So you have to really, you work with what's there at the time, and then okay, this is fixed, now we go there.
Well, it almost sounds as though you're exercising the brain.
I guess you could say that you're doing all different kinds of things with it.
So it would be helpful for somebody who's incurred an injury, because there would be scarring.
Right, right. And it is a more difficult thing to work with. People have to really know that they're going to be in it for a long haul. But it certainly is helpful.
And worth it.
Yeah.
So where can people get this kind of help? Like we send this show out to LA and out to Seattle and Minneapolis. How do they find someone who does neurofeedback?
Well, I'm not too sure about other, people, but we have an affiliation called EEG Spectrum International.
EEG?
EEG.
EEG, okay.
Spectrum International. They're on the web. Okay. You can go to eegspectrum.com, and that's all little letters, one word, and it'll get you to the web page and take you to wherever you need to go.
That's
so
wonderful.
You can find therapists. I know there are other therapists around that are not part of our affiliation, but you don't hear about them either. I don't even hear about people, so it's hard to even say, oh, go here, go there.
Right, so that's a national affiliation.
Right.
And people who are affiliated with the same group.
Right.
With it.
There is also the BCIA, Biofeedback Institute, Biofeedback Certification Institute of America, and they also have a web page, and you can go there. They may have others who are not in this EEG Spectrum affiliation.
Okay. And what about schools? Like if a mother or a parent went to the school and said, I would really like my child to have this.
You've opened up a can of worms.
I like to do that.
Well, schools are very difficult. They're
what about
political.
Private schools? We know the public schools like a quagmire.
Right,
it's hard to get through the maze.
Truthfully, there are not too many private schools that are doing it either. There is one showcase school, basically, called New Visions in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and it is really
cutting edge.
Yeah, real cutting edge. They do all kinds of therapy, and that's been my goal. I hope I live to see it, that I can have a school that, kids could have the neurofeedback, vision therapy, auditory therapy, if whatever they need, physical, occupational, speech therapy, just everything, and just give it to them in one big bunch.
Sure.
And then get them back out into society in a functioning manner.
That's great.
So,
do you believe that if, let's say, a child comes for this therapy with you, and they go back into an environment that's really toxic, or go back to a dietary protocol that's really toxic, that it can throw them back into a state of imbalance again?
There is a strong possibility. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
the kids stick better, like you said before, than adults do, right?
Yeah, they definitely do. But the environment is really potent. We know that, and if there is toxicity there, it has the potential to put them back to where they were.
Well, I also would think if you change the brainwave patterns, it would make the actual system less accepting of the toxin.
Well, it very easily
like the child would be more attracted to a piece of fruit then, or to music, and staying at school longer rather than going home to the toxic environment. I mean,
it probably has that potential to do that.
So why is it so unknown today, in your estimation, neurofeedback?
I don't know. I think that the medical profession, which is probably the area that would recommend it most frequently, only know medicine. They've been trained in medicine.
They're focused on their specialty.
They're focused. That's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with. And so that's what they want to work with. Most alternative therapies are not that highly recognized either. I remember as a child, I used to ask my father about a chiropractor. He was a doctor.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know.
Why didn't doctors like chiropractors? And he said, well, their philosophy. At the time they had
It's too out there.
Yeah,
too out there, and now it's become mainstream.
Right,
so
right.
The time has to come.
I think so.
Are there any drawbacks with neurofeedback?
Well, I think not. The biggest possible problem is the fact that I might make a decision about what you need, and it isn't quite the decision that should have been made.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have a reaction that is not entirely positive.
Like what?
Oh, well, one boy I was working with, he got up from the chair and he said, wow, am I dizzy? And he really was, so
Loopy.
dizzy. And so basically, I was just pushing the brain waves that were already too high anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to pull back and go in the other direction. And then he was fine. And that's what I did. I said, hey, sit down again. Let's redo this.
Good.
And that's one thing that's wonderful about it is,
You can do it right away.
we can reverse it.
Okay, what are the implications of research in the anecdotal studies?
The implications of research. Well, we need a lot of research. We need to show that we can help more things
Do you
than...
keep case studies?
I sure do.
Great.
But I'm not much of a scientist in the
Right.
sense, but I keep
You're a
strong
clinician.
anecdotal records.
Good.
And I test, have a pre-test and a post-test, and see where we've gotten with that. So we have those kinds of records. And
you said the questionnaire is pretty extensive too.
oh,
It's a life history questionnaire, right?
It's an informed questionnaire, and we go back over it again, at the end. What does this look like? What does that look like? And how's this? And people will forget. Oh yeah,
Exactly. So there's no one really who couldn't benefit from this.
No, I think most people could benefit from it. I absolutely think that's right.
And you mentioned you had a good friend, we're almost out of time here, but you had a good friend who had cancer and she was going through chemo and radiation, and she did this, and she had a really reduced reaction to the chemo and the radiation,
Right.
and she ate great and felt good. And
She really, most women who do go through chemotherapy are really pretty much bedridden. They don't have the energy to do too much, and this gal just kept going. I mean, she didn't stop.
that's great.
So it was wonderful.
That's
What was
great.
more interesting is she had the radiation, and that was more toxic to her, I think, than the chemo.
What type of cancer
Breast cancer.
is that? Okay. So she's doing good today, though.
Yeah, we're doing the walk on Sunday.
Oh, good. I'll see you there. I'll be
great.
there.
Okay.
And our time is up. Thank
Oh,
you again
thank
for
you
being
again.
with us. I so appreciate
It's
your
wonderful.
energy and your time. Until next week, take good care of your health. If you'd like more information on neurofeedback, please feel free to call me. I'll be happy to send you Ann's way. Take good care of your health till next week. Bye-bye. I'm Deborah Arneson.
Thanks.
Thanks. It was great.
Oh, good.